Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace to all of you. My name is Imam Nadim Bashir, and I live in the North Texas area. I currently serve as a faith leader, mentor, educator, and a special needs advocate. I want to thank the Faith Inclusions Network and Community for All for organizing this extremely relevant conference for our faith communities and for giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge and experience on this matter. It is important for me to first share a little about my background for context purposes on my engagement and advocacy for the special needs community. It all began in 2013 when my and my wife's life changed forever. My then 3-year-old daughter was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, or as we know, ASD. We had absolutely no clue, direction, or idea on what exactly that diagnosis meant or how to move forward in getting the support my daughter or we needed. Even up till today, the journey has been an uphill battle filled with pain, challenges, and uncertainty about her future. As parents, we had two choices. Either we could become a victim of cultural stigmas about special needs, or we could embrace this situation that God has put us in as a blessing of its own. We decided to go with the latter. This required us to go through a paradigm shift in our mindset to one of optimism and gratitude. Part of embracing our situation included me introducing talks and sermons focused on more awareness and inclusion of the community members with disabilities into our congregations. As I began these spiritual talks, I recognized that there was a need to do a whole lot more. With each talk, more people in our faith community reached out to me to talk about their challenges as special needs parents. They felt immense relief in finding a religious leader who had shared experience. It was a game changer for many of them because previously they had encountered spiritual guidance based on stories and theology, but not from someone who truly understood the challenges on a personal level. In the summer of 2020, with a small team of devoted volunteers, I launched an initiative known as DREAM, which stands for Disability Resources, Awareness, and Education for Muslims. DREAM's vision is to help provide the American Muslim community with access to education, resources, and supportive programs for special needs families. With that being said, I would like to jump right into my talk for today, in which I intend to cover how the Muslim community is going through a paradigm shift from having false misconceptions and stigmas surrounding disabilities to becoming a more aware and inclusive community for all. I hope to share the history of people with disabilities and diverse abilities in Islamic history, the spiritual perspective on spiritual needs parenting, and what I think is the best path towards a more inclusive faith community in the future. One of the first important things to know about the Muslim community is that it is one that is very diverse in culture, race, spiritual practices, ethnicity, and language. Muslims have been in America since the 15th century. However, Muslims from Asia and Middle East only began to migrate to the United States in the late 50s, and this increased into the 60s. For this talk, I will refer to all those who migrated as the immigrant community. When the immigrant community first arrived here in the United States, their primary goal was financial stability. As more immigrants arrived, they felt the need to concentrate on preserving their religious identity. This led to the creation of spaces for the community to gather for both prayer and education. Finding a religious scholar educated in Islamic doctrine locally was nearly impossible, with no existing educational institutions to create scholars in America. So the immigrant communities began importing scholars from their native countries. Unfortunately, these religious leaders did not understand the dynamics of living here in America, the day-to-day challenges of being an American, or the solutions to the problems that are relevant to our lifestyles as Americans. With the influence of these out of touch with reality religious leaders and their pre-existing notions of society and community, the immigrant community began making a concentrated effort to educate their children about their back home practices and norms in order to avoid their children picking up any other cultural norms. Immigrant families held on and continuously preached about their stigmas. While there are many, for the purpose of our video, we will focus only on a few. Number one, no matter who you are, the success of your child makes you feel fulfilled and proud. However, in the immigrant community, the success or failure of any child is a direct reflection of their parents and their parenting skills. It is for this reason that immigrant parents are always encouraging their children to strive for high achievements academically and to work towards a financial stable future. And there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. However, in the case of a child with special needs, whose future may be filled with uncertainties about marriage and higher education, many parents feel ashamed and find it difficult to socially engage with parents of typical children. Parents of children with special needs see themselves somehow at fault for their child's diverse abilities and many times are insecure about their parenting skills when compared to others. Due to their lack of confidence and fear of social stigma, many parents stay in denial and refuse to accept their child's diagnosis. Many times Many parents even delay getting their children the support and finding resources to help them out. And in many cases, they usually stay away from socially engaging with others. The next stigma is that which is related to spirituality. The theory is simple, but it is inaccurate. If you're good, then God will do good with you. And if you are bad, God will punish you. Due to this inaccurate perspective, many people and many Muslim parents who have special needs children constantly ask themselves this one question: what did I do wrong to make God so upset? Which sin did I commit because of which God is punishing me? Another challenge in the immigrant community is the misconception that mental health is not an actual science. Many immigrants believe that depression and anxiety are a result of a lack of spirituality and religion in one's life. Simply put, if one has God in their life, and they will not suffer from mental illness or disability. It is in fact far-fetched for those with this thought process to believe that anyone who has a special need is under the influence of the devil or a demon and needs to go through the process of exorcism to cure them. This segment of the community does not believe in medical diagnosis for mental health issues or disabilities, or that medications or therapy could be beneficial. So now, where do we, as a Muslim community in America, where do we stand? The Muslim community currently is going through a cultural, philosophical, and ethical paradigm shift. Imams, which is the term for a religious leader, and religious leaders in general, have begun educating and informing their congregation to debunk these stigmas, false assumptions, and stereotypes related to special needs. What they're teaching people in the community is that parents should not blame themselves for having a child with special needs. They have not committed a sin necessarily that God is punishing them for this. Rather, we see in the Quran and in the prophetic tradition, two sources of legislation in the Islamic faith. We find that whenever God gives you a special needs child, it is not for the reason that God is punishing you. Rather, God is trying to see how much you can be patient. And in this kind of situation, God wants to see how devout you can remain. At the same time, we are sharing as Imams, we're sharing with our community members stories from the Prophet Muhammad's community. As Muslims, we believe that there is a holy book which is called the Quran. And then the Quran was demonstrated by Prophet Muhammad. And Prophet Muhammad, in his own community, he created a very inclusive community, a community that was inclusive of all races, and not only that, but people with disabilities too. We find in the community of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that people who had disabilities, they felt part of the community. In fact, we would see often that Prophet Muhammad would go out of his way to go and show them support. There's a story that is found in the Quran that a man came who was blind, and the Prophet Muhammad, very respectfully, he asked him to come back at another time. God talked to Muhammad and he informed Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, that next time when a person of disability comes to you, you are to show them respect and you are to give them your attention. We also learned that on his day-to-day routine, he would go and visit families. Often he would go and visit families who had people of disabilities. We also find that there were people of disabilities within his own community, and he would give them a very prominent role in the community. This is faith inclusion. And this is what, as Imams, this is what we're teaching. And I'm happy also to say that I now see many young men and women in our faith community, they are now striving to acquire degrees in education that will help people of the special needs community. Having said that, the last thing I would like to say is and focus on that what are the solutions going forward? The very first thing that we need to do as a Muslim community and what we're teaching and preaching is awareness. If you simply are not aware of something, you will not find and generate solutions. So awareness is the very first thing. The second thing I will highly encourage my faith community is to build a network and a connection with other faith organizations. There are many faith organizations in your own community who are doing a lot of special needs work. And they are respectful of other people and their faiths. So this is a good time to put aside your faith for a moment and connect with these faith organizations. Not only faith organizations, but organizations that focus and are advocates of special needs. Having said that, the last thing I will say is that we need to focus on the 3 F's: faith, friends, and family. We need to have all these 3 things in order to prosper. Faith, all of us, we come from a faith, and that faith provides consolation to us and how to move forward. It provides us peace, that how we can find solace in our religion. We should have friends around us that understand our needs, that understand the needs of my child, and that they will be friendly and they will try to help us. And more than anything else, we need to connect with our families. Each special needs family needs to take it upon themselves to become advocates for the special needs community. That also means to go out of your way and learn that if there's a person of special needs in your family, going and learning how you can be around them. We all know that when it comes to special needs family members, they have certain traits, certain behaviors, certain characteristics. A family member needs to learn how to be around people who have special needs. And finally, it is the importance of inclusion and equity. So there's something called equality, but there's something called equity. What I'm referring to is equity. And that means that helping our special needs community in certain ways that will benefit them, not only today, but for their future. Having said that, I want to thank once again the organization, Community for All, for putting together this event. And I want to thank the organization and all the volunteers for putting together this amazing event, this very relevant and needed conference. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. My name is Imam Nadim Bashir. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. The greetings of peace and happiness be upon all of you. Thank you.